O&M 101. What is mobility? Learn what mobility is in orientation and mobility. On screen is a person walking with a white cane.
Hello, parents and caregivers, and welcome to MDE-LIO's Parent Educational Video Series, where we break down the mystery of big educational labels and the little acronyms that represent them. I'm Amy Shepard, Parent Liaison to the Michigan Department of Education Low Incidence Outreach, or MDE-LIO for short. And that, folks, is our first acronym. I'm a parent of a young man who is legally blind, a community advocate, and a constant collaborator. Today, I'm collaborating with Beth Brabs, a certified orientation mobility specialist at MDE-LIO. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Amy.
Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm the newest education consultant here at MDE-LIO. I started here in August of 2021 after retiring from teaching in public schools as a teacher consultant and an orientation and mobility specialist for the visually impaired. I did that for more than 30 years, and I liked it so much that I'm still doing it here at LIO. I can honestly say that I have learned as much from my students and their families as they have learned from me.
About 30 years is a long time, and I'm sure we have a lot to learn from you today. So we've been talking about orientation and mobility, and you are an O&M specialist, and there's that O&M acronym again. Today, I'm curious to learn more about mobility. So what would you say are the key skills that students who are blind and visually impaired need to know within mobility?
Remember that your child's IEP, which is another acronym, will specify what mobility skills need to be learned. Mobility refers to moving in space, and a key priority is safety.
Yeah, and I know parents think a lot about safety. My son has a lot of functional vision, which enables him to move confidently through familiar environments, but he does use his white cane when he's in unfamiliar areas and especially crossing busy streets in order to stay safe.
Does he ever have to protect himself when he's traveling without his cane?
Yes, he does occasionally ask for a human guide, particularly at times when it's dark outside. And I have noticed him using his foot to search ahead to look for potential drop-offs.
Yes, it's not uncommon for people to use their toes to find stairs when they don't have a cane with them. It can really slow you down, though.
Yes.
So I tell all of my students, if you want to be an efficient traveler, use your cane. I realize, though, that people don't always use their canes, especially in their own homes,
Right.
or if they're in a familiar place like the classroom that they're in every day. And in that instance, you might see someone using their toes to just kind of search ahead as they're walking. You also mentioned that your son sometimes uses human guide. That's a really convenient set of mobility techniques that involves asking someone to help you walk in an environment that is either unfamiliar or just seems unsafe.
So when we use human guide at home, I usually just offer up my elbow for him to grab, and then I lead him. And I know that's pretty basic, so give us a little bit more information on some specific human guide techniques.
Okay, we do call that the basic human guide technique, but there are other human guide techniques for going through doors, walking on stairs, changing directions, and more. You mentioned you offer up your elbow. I usually teach my students to grasp my arm just above my elbow with their fingers on the inside of my arm and their thumb wrapped around the outside of my arm. This gives them a strong grip, and they probably won't lose contact with me when I'm walking.
Well, what if your student is really small and can't reach your elbow, or what if they can't see enough to be able to tell where they should be grabbing hold of?
That's a great question, Amy. When I work with little kids who can't reach my elbow, I either hold 2 fingers down and let them just grab my fingers, or they hold my wrist if they can reach that high, and if their hand is big enough to reach around my wrist. I also touch their hand with the top of my hand when I offer to guide them, so they know exactly where my arm is and they don't have to reach around trying to find it. They just slide their hand up my arm until they find the place that they want to hold.
Those are really good tips. So we've talked about using the white cane and other techniques such as human guide in order to stay safe. But what else do we need to know about mobility?
There are so many movement skills that we can teach our kids, from how to crawl and walk to how to jump, hop, and skip. Our students who are blind or visually impaired may learn these things a little bit differently. So the O&M specialist can help parents, a physical therapist, a gym teacher, or anybody who's with your child how to learn those skills like all kids do.
And that's so important for us to remember that our kids who are blind and visually impaired, they need to have fun and play like their peers. And things like running, skipping, jumping, those are all fun activities, and they won't even know that they're learning new skills. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else regarding mobility that we should know?
Yes, we also work a lot on proprioception, which is feeling what your body is doing and knowing what that means in terms of the environment, like knowing how your arms are positioned. Are they hanging at your side, or are they raised in the air? Or where are your feet positioned? Are they walking uphill or downhill? For example, a student may recognize that they're at a blended curb at a crosswalk because they feel themselves going downhill and they hear the cars in the street. I think it's important to repeat that our ultimate goal is for our students to be able to travel safely and efficiently. Yeah. And who doesn't like to get somewhere in a reasonable amount of time?
Well, I certainly do. And speaking of time, how long does it take for our children to learn all the orientation mobility skills that they need to be able to become independent travelers?
Well, as soon as a baby is identified as needing O&M training, a specialist will begin working with their parents and family. Most students will work with their O&M specialists from preschool all the way through high school. And the work doesn't always end after high school. Even the most proficient traveler may need help in a new environment or with a challenging scenario. O&M is a lifelong learning experience, as so many other things are.
Well, Beth, you have certainly given us a lot to think about. Thank you so much for sharing what you know about mobility with us today.
You're welcome, Amy, but let me say that there's a whole lot more to mobility than what we talked about today. Talk to your child's O&M specialist as much as possible so that you know how you can support your child's independence in travel.
Thank you, Beth. Parents and caregivers, please remember to check out the MDELIO website for more videos in our parent educational video series. See you next time.
Bye.
In 2023, Beth Brabs returned to working as a teacher consultant for the visually impaired and orientation and mobility specialist at the Macomb Intermediate School District. She supports students in their local programs in Macomb County, Michigan. Learn more at mdelio.org. Find more videos, get resources, and learn how MDELIO can support you.